Well, once again, I was making very sure that this thing is recording because it's getting late at night and I want to get these two videos made. This video, like the predecessor, is based on articles written in the Yuma Daily Sun newspaper dated Sunday, January 24, 2010. This one is titled Growing a Better Future. It shows a picture of a little family. It doesn't show the father, but it shows the mother and the children. The writer, a gentleman I do not know, Cesar, N-E-Y-O-Y, I do not know how to pronounce that at all. Looks like Neoi to me, but I'm sure that's not the way it's pronounced. Headline, dateline, Somerton. And he goes on to say this: for years and years, Josephina Valtierra toiled in the farm fields to provide for the basic needs and futures of her 4 children. And today, her greatest reward for her struggles, she said, is knowing her children and their children won't be following her footsteps into the fields and into the lives of privation, doing without. She is quoted, "My 4 graduated from the 8th grade and then from Cibola High School. Yadira, the oldest, got married, then she got divorced. And afterwards she enlisted in the military service, 2002. Suspect she's still in there. Second, she says, graduated from the university, is an elementary school teacher. And her 2 youngest, are Arizona Western College students, pushed by their mother and by their older siblings. Admonitions to never abandon their education." Then it goes back to her reminiscing. "I began to work 2 shifts. My husband doesn't have a secure salary. And to give warnings to them, to the kids, not to quit school on me, to not give me problems. I would go to work and never had complaints about them from school. I always used to tell them what I have been through, and I would tell them that they have every opportunity to study. It didn't matter to me if they didn't help me around the house. I told them their job was to study." Oh boy, as a teacher, do I like parents like that. Then it goes back to give a little more history of this lady. Josephina was raised in a family of migrant farm workers in a rural area of Mexico's Sinaloa state. She says they had few economic means at their disposal, and her parents could not offer her the options in life that she has been able to give her own children. At times, she says, we didn't even have food. We wanted refried beans. There never was any butter. We lacked a lot. She conveys those hardships in humorous anecdotes, and she shares with her children. Ultimately, her desire has been that they appreciate the comforts that they now have and that they work toward a better future for themselves and their children. Then it says a quote from her. "I tell them, and they laugh a lot, about how when I was a girl, we lived in a cardboard house and that I had nothing but a pair of sneakers, and that when they no longer fit, they cut off the tips so my toes could stick out." That's poor. That's when you're poor. Josephina learned what it was like to get up early, go to the farm fields, beginning at the age of 14, when her parents began taking her to the fields with them. Well, Obviously, quite a success story. And she talks about how they arrived with the help of a coyote, illegally. Got to San Luis, Mexico. Journey, she said, was not easy. We spent 12 hours walking, and we didn't bring anything but water and cheese. We reached some groves, and my brother said it was Summerton. And we spent the whole day there waiting because a coyote was supposed to make arrangements to take us on into Phoenix. She went back into her home country to marry her husband, and before long they crossed the border again, this time with the 4 children. And all the children were born in the United States. The writer says Josephina began studying English and earned her GED, high school equivalency certificate. But the need to provide for her family as the breadwinner prompted her to return to the field. And he quotes her as saying, "I am not ashamed of working in the fields, because from that I have survived and helped my children to move ahead." Boy, that's family values. Continuing the quote, "I am proud of having worked in the fields, of seeing my daughter when she graduated, of seeing them all go to school, of my son who doesn't drink or smoke, and who continues studying and working. For my family, I was the last to work in the fields. I didn't want my children to go to the fields, because that work is the hardest and the worst paid." I think that with the example I gave them, they will be able to do as well or better than I with their children, and that they will be together as a family, that they will tell them that they'll tell their kids, they have to study. 3 cheers for Josephina. Rah, 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 rah. Good American values.